Hello, KGC show fans and listeners. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for the great response on the last episode. Today, I am joined by a legend in music for sure. He has written with legends like Jimbo Henson and many more. He was a part of he knows the guys who wrote Bobby Sue for the Oaks. And we'll talk a lot about him and his music career here today. Please give it up for one of Nashville's greatest, Jeff Benson. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to be here. Thank you so much for reaching out and having me on.
Well, it's my honor. Where are you calling us from today?
I'm in Music City,
Music,
Nashville.
Music
My
City.
I can see downtown. I'm about 10 minutes from the honky tonks.
How's the weather out there? I hear it's snowy.
Yeah, we've had some snow this week, and it's pretty cold for here. It's down in the teens, which is we get that once in a while, but it's kind of unusual. So
So, talk to us a little bit about how you got into music because you have a great music career. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, I mean, like a lot of people, I think my first experience with singing publicly was probably in church, the church in the little choir, doing the Christmas cantatas and the Easter cantatas. My grandmother on my mom's mom was not in good health when we were growing up, and we would go. I grew up in the St. Louis area. In fact, I lived on the Illinois side of the river. I could see the arch from my house. I was that close to downtown St. Louis. But she was ill when we were growing up, and so we would go every weekend about 2.5 hours where my folks were from in Southern Illinois, which was in the country, Anna, Dongola, Alto Pass, that whole Southern Illinois area, and it was more rural. So I consider myself so blessed because I got to grow up experiencing both, suburban, urban life, and then on the weekends would be down with my cousins and aunts and uncles and in the country in Southern Illinois, with the tractors and combines and having to pick, shuck corn and all that good stuff, bale hay. So, and in that 2.5 hour car ride, my folks listened to country music. So that's how I became familiar with all the wonderful country of the, 70s, because I was born in the late 60s. I'm old, but, got to listen to people like John Denver and George Jones, Merle Haggard, and Kenny Rogers, and all those kind of people, So I consider myself blessed. And of course, then I grew up and, like a lot of kids, kind of started listening to some 80s rock and roll. So I just like good music, Caden. It doesn't really have to fall into a specific genre for me. I just like good songs.
And you have had an incredible music career, your own self. And can you talk to us a little bit about how some of your influences shine out in some of your songs?
Well, I'm a tenor, so my voice is higher. So I can pull off say a Vince Gill or Steve Wariner or a Colin Ray song better than I can a Merle Haggard or a Hank Jr. or George Jones song. Not that I can't sing those songs, but so I try to write stuff in that register and where I can, at least hit the higher notes and shine in that respect. But I really just seek to write a good song when I start out. I mean, there's so much talent out there, so it's hard to weed through. And I mean, there's so many great writers in Nashville. It's tough business. I mean, there's no doubt, But that's I try to write stuff, especially if I'm writing for myself, that's more tailored to a higher singing, in a higher. You can change the key of any song, but try to write stuff that's in my sweet spot. Uh, you know, that's kind of that.
Who has been some of your not greatest co-writes, but what has been some of your co-writes that you've been able to look back and say, wow, I've gotten to write with this person?
Well, I mean, the top of the list, and probably one of my favorite songs I've written. I'm adopted. I was adopted at birth, and went home to my parents at 7 days old, and I always wanted to tell my adoptive mom how I felt about her, and I got the opportunity to write with a guy named Pat Alger. Well, Pat's written five or so of Garth's greatest hits, Thunder Rolls, Unanswered Prayers. He's just an incredible writer. He wrote How Ketchum, Small Town Saturday Night. So I had the opportunity to write with him. I met him through a song I wrote called The Rock, which Tracy Lawrence included as the title cut on his gospel record. And that song had won a contest that was judged by all of the guys that wrote Garth's greatest hits. Tony Arata, who wrote The Dance, Kim Williams, uh, Kent Blasey, and Pat were all judges in this contest. And my song, Aaron, one of the co-writers, Aaron Schurz, another hit writer, he had entered this song unknowns to me and Tom Shepard, the other co-writer, but it ended up winning this contest. And so I ran into Pat at a Music Row event. I mean, before COVID, and then in the first few years I got here, which I got here in '97, there used to be all kinds of opportunities to meet people and network. It's a little different now, but I met Pat, and I don't know, for some reason I thanked him for voting, for making that song the selection of all those songs that were submitted. And I don't know why I'm not forward, but I, for some reason, had the guts to ask him if we could possibly write a song someday. And he said yes. And so we got together and eventually came up with that song. It's called I Found My Way to You, or Found My Way to You. And I I could tell when I told him the idea about being adopted and how I'd wanted to say this. I wanted to let my mom know how I felt. I could tell it struck a nerve, and he knew it was real. So we started writing that, and the song certainly wouldn't be what it is without Pat's involvement. But it's something I'm really special, really proud of, and it's special. And I got to give it to my mom for one of her birthdays before she passed away.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what it was like for you working with the late great Joe Jimbo Henson?
Oh, he's incredible. It's funny, the way I met Jimbo is the first place I lived in Nashville. I rented I rented this space above a lady that had lived there for years. He and Brenda, his wife, owned the house next door and rented it out. So um, I met him that way, and we just talked about writing. And I got to go up to his farm outside Ashland City. Uh, he had this idea called Voice of Reason, and we wrote that. And that's one guy that's really talented. He was an incredible artist himself. He's character. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he's character, but I'm just proud of what we did. But I met him because I rented a place next door. And here's another quick story. Place I rented, an agent from St. Louis who had booked me up there when I moved here. She knew I was moving, and she was getting ready to get married to this fella, and he needed out of his lease. So I said, yeah, I'll come take a look. But it was Jimmy Fadden, who's in the drummer for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. So I didn't have any furniture. So Patty, my friend, ended up marrying Jimmy, and Jimmy let me use his furniture when I moved down. So I got to be friends with him. But I mean, that's a great band.
Yeah.
I
Talk
mean,
about what has been some of your fondest memories in Nashville? Like, what have been some of the memories that stick out to you? I know that CRS is happening down there.
it is.
Does any CRS memories stick out to you?
Oh, a lot of CRS memories. I haven't gone as much in the last few years, but yeah, I was really fortunate to have a lot of radio friends in St. Louis. And so with both stations, Kicks 104, and then it was 106, which kind of became the Bull, I guess. But all those guys and the WIL guys, those are the two big stations in St. Louis. And remain good friends with people from both of those stations, and they would come to town. And honestly, I did a lot of shows for them up there in St. Louis. But when they would come to town for events like CRS, they would introduce me to a lot of the record people, mostly promotions. But a lot of those promotions people gravitate and move up the ladder at the labels, and some of them are running the labels now. But I met a lot of radio promoters that worked for labels through the radio guys from St. Louis, and I owe a lot to both stations. But like I say, I did a lot of stuff with Kicks. Got to open for Colin Ray and Ty Herndon, and Phil Vassar at their anniversary parties. And then, I mean, because of WIL, they did a contest, and I got to open for Hank Jr. once at the Fox Theater in St. Louis. That was a big deal. But the radio seminar, I have a ton of memories, and they would also come down for the CMA Awards and see and fan. Well, it was Fanfare when I moved here. Now it's called CMA Fan
Fantastic.
Fest. I remember, and that's another good memory when it was still Fanfare and back at the fairgrounds. You know, the if you were lucky enough to get a backstage pass, you were in a small area. Now everything's kind of more corporate and moved. It's here, it's there, it's kind of, I mean, I don't mean to sound jaded, but it's not like the old days really. And really the radio seminar, when I first started going to that, it was at the Opryland Hotel where everything was more contained. And now it's more spread out. It's like, back then you were kind of in the same building, same area, roaming the hallways into this suite, that suite. Now it's like you got to go across town to see this or whatever. But still a great event. It's a great event. I mean, radio still king in terms of country music, at least. It's in terms of being a songwriter, and you still want to you still want to have your song recorded by an artist and on the radio.
What has been your favorite song that you have sung that has gotten the best reaction from you when you play it live?
Gosh, I mean, it depends on if it's like a like gig or like a writers event. At writers events like the Bluebird playing there, um, the adoption song. There's not a time I've played the Bluebird where someone didn't come up crying afterwards, you know, talking about how that song moved them. Um, on a newer song, and you've mentioned this song to me called "Into the Grains." That gets a great response now. I've been part of a duo for the last 15 years or so. We're kind of on hiatus right at the moment, but with Eric Haynes, and we have a song called "Do This Country Some Good," which you probably haven't heard, but that always gets a really good response. In fact, if I play you something live, I'll play that since that's not a record you have. But
Yeah. What's something that you're most excited for people to hear?
most excited, um, gosh, you know what? I like it all. My most popular song online is still a firefighter tribute song called "Don't Call Me a Hero." That's my most popular song. Of the stuff I've written in the last couple years, "Into the Grains," just because it's like it's it says something, it's got a message, but it's also got some groove, some up tempo. It's up tempo.
Hmm?
That's songwriters always try to write because the songs that make the money usually are up tempo to get on the radio to get that. There's a lot of ballads written, and so I feel like with that song, kind of we're able to say something and be up tempo, kind of have some feeling, uh, some oomph.
Yeah. You know what I love about you, man, is I feel with the songs that I've listened to from your catalog that you've sung, you sang with such heart, you sing with such soul. And the way you sing, it memorized me from the beginning when I first heard you. Was that do you love to sing full heartedly and sing,
I do.
with everything?
Of the whole process, if I'm honest, performing live is my favorite part of it. I mean, I like to write songs, I like to record, but playing, I just I just love to perform in front of people. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 10 people or a few hundred or a couple thousand. It's just the part of it that turns me on the most. I just I don't know. I'm a people person. I could talk to the wall. You're very easy to talk to.
Yeah. What has been one of your favorite shows that sticks out in your mind?
Well, the Hank Jr. show was great because that was at the Fox Theater, which is a nice venue. But I did learn a lot. I learned a lesson that night because my slot as an opener had ending time, and I decided I would. We were the crowd was involved, and I decided, you know what, we'll do one more song, and I went over. Well, halfway through the song, we were doing Georgia Satellites, "Hands to Yourself" as an encore, and no lie, midway through the song, they pulled the plug, like mid song, boom, done. So I learned that if you're an opener for a big show like that, you better stick to the time slot because reason being it's union. So if the main act goes over, it could run into a lot of cost. So, but I did learn a lesson. But that's one of my favorite shows. I guess the biggest show supposedly uh, was a Colin Ray show that I did at Union Station in St. Louis, and there were supposedly about 8,000 people there. It was a radio show with Kicks. And that was a lot of fun. He's one of my favorite artists.
What's what's you want to play a little rapid fire Q&A
Sure.
to kind of close this out? And Jeff,
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing, man. Thank you so much for all the hits that you've written over the years, and thank you so much for just being a great guy. And where can people go to keep up with you?
Well, my primary website is Jeff Batson, JEFFBATSON.com. And there's links there to everything. But I mean, I'm on Instagram. That's Jeff Batson Music. I don't TikTok a lot, but I have a TikTok. That's Jeff Batson Music. Facebook, Jeff Batson. There's Batson Music fans. Facebook on the personal page, they limit it to 5,000 friends. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm popular, but I'm like maxed out. So it's if somebody sends me a friend request, I have to find somebody to delete, which I'm sure that's some people are inactive on there. But jeffbatson.com will get you there. Or you can Google me. I have a YouTube channel where there's some videos. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, he's everywhere, just like we are. And Jeff, the reason I want to do this rapid fire Q&A is because I know you have to get down to CRS. So I want to make sure we get
All
this
right.
last segment in before we let you go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Man, what's your favorite show?
Show. Yellowstone.
A good show.
I like Beth.
Oh, she's the best. What's your favorite movie?
Oh gosh. Grease.
That's a great one. The original?
Oh yeah, the original.
Oh.
I got to see that when it came out. That's how old I am.
What's your favorite song?
Oh gosh. Oh, that's tough. I, man, so many.
Top three.
Um, Your Love Amazes Me, John Barry. Um, uh, One More Slow Day. What's the song? Colin Ray. If On the Verge, Colin Ray.
Yeah,
Um, Give me something classic. Back Home Again, John Denver.
there you go. Wow, those were three eclectic
All over
singers.
the Yeah, all over the board.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it all, but
What's your
the
favorite book?
Bible.
Man? And what's one thing that you want to be remembered by?
Um, I think when I'm dead and gone, I hope my body of work, my songs, are a good character reference. I think they will be. I'm pretty sensitive. I have an adoption song. I have a song for the disabled vets. We wrote a song for the Boston bombing. After that, um, yeah, I just want to be remembered by my body of work, and I think even if I don't have a ton of commercial success, uh, I think my body of work when people if they listen to my songs, firefighter songs, I think it says something about me. I hope it does.
And last couple questions is, will you come back and talk to us about all new things and all new projects?
Of course, anytime.
Oh man, I've had a blast. And last deep question that we'll ask today is how does your faith play a role in your music and even in your family?
Well, I mean, I was raised a Christian, and I'm never afraid to admit that. Now, I'm not a Bible thumper going to slam it in your face, but I think my faith and Christianity shows in my songs, in most of them. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't have a drinking song or two or whatever, but I think uh, no, I think it's very important. Faith to me is very important. I think without faith, what do you got? I mean, you need to believe. And I'm if you're not a Christian and you believe something else, that's great. Good for you. I happen to be a Christian, and I believe, and I believe that every day it gives me the inspiration to keep going, even when things are down. I believe there's a higher being, and if someone chooses not to, that's fine, no problem. But it helps me. It helps me keep a positive attitude. And I just love people, man. I love everybody. I just love people.
Well, I couldn't have had said it better myself. I want to say thank you so much to Jeff, and I am so honored that he has taken time out of his very busy schedule to join and sit here and chat with us just for a little bit here today. And Jeff, go enjoy CRS. Tell everybody I said hi, and thanks for visiting with us today.
Hey, Caden, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me, and I'll look forward to the next time.
Oh, buddy, there will always be a next time.
Awesome. Awesome, man.
Well, I want to say thank you guys for watching the KGC show, and you never know who I might pull out of my sleeves and call up next to join me here on the show. We love you guys, love one another, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yoka Artiansa Remix.